Another day, another loss for Donald Trump in the courts. This time at the United States Supreme Court, we got breaking news. Lisa Cook on the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve. Sit down. You're not going anywhere. You get to remain in your job, says the Supreme Court, at least until we get to oral argument in January of 2026. That ruling, one line as it is, temporary as it may be, is a setback for Donald Trump, and strengthens the legal arguments and factual arguments for Lisa Cook to remain on the Board of Governors for 13 more years, meaning Donald Trump would be blocked for now from taking control of the Federal Reserve through the removal of Lisa Cook. Did they rule, the Supreme Court, on whether she has due process rights? Not quite. Did they rule that the Fifth Amendment applies? Not quite. Did they rule that the for-cause reason Donald Trump conjured up out of thin air that she committed some sort of mortgage fraud when she didn't, is that sufficient grounds to remove her? Did they address that? Not quite. So let's get into what they did do. You're here on Legal AF. I'm Michael Popok. Hit the free subscribe button first. Come over to Legal AF Substack and do the exact same thing. Now you're a card-carrying member of Legal AF. So Lisa Cook was appointed by Joe Biden to a 14-year term. She's one of 7 on the Board of Governors. When Donald Trump tried to remove her when making some phony allegations of mortgage fraud, it went off to the trial court level after she filed a case to preliminarily stop Donald Trump from taking her out of her position. And Gia Cobb, the judge, agreed with her, found that both due process had been violated because she was given no process at all before they took her job away, and that her Fifth Amendment privilege or Fifth Amendment rights to have her property, in this case, the 13 years remaining on her term, not taken away without due process, some sort of hearing, some sort of for cause, had also not been properly implemented by Donald Trump. So no for cause and no due process. Goes up to the next level court, the circuit court, the DC federal court. And on the DC federal appellate court, 2-1, they find that her due process rights were violated. They don't talk about whether she was properly fired for cause or not for cause for now because they thought due process was enough. Donald Trump takes an emergency application. There's 3 briefs that are filed on the issue of whether the preliminary injunction should be stayed, meaning Lisa Cook comes out of her job because she's been going to work ever since. She just participated in the Open Markets Committee setting of rates, interest rates, which is what the main tool is of the Federal Reserve. And the appellate court 2-1 said, no, sit down, sit in your chair. You're not going anywhere. Donald Trump takes that emergency appeal. The emergency appeal, he wants to block the prior rulings of these courts and take her out of her job while the appeal is pending. That's the issue that was before the United States Supreme Court on an emergency application. Now we wait for the result. We've been waiting about 4 days, and today it finally came. One line. They're not touching the merits. They want some additional briefing, but they're also not taking her out of her chair on the Federal Reserve anytime before they have oral argument in January of 2026 and thereafter. I don't think they'll make this ruling in the case until March, April. So she is going to be on the Federal Reserve. And the longer that she stays, and the bigger the loss is to Donald Trump, the longer she stays on the Federal Reserve, the more it strengthens her hand. It strengthens her Fifth Amendment property interest argument. It strengthens her argument that she is still on the Federal Reserve and that the status quo should not be disturbed by taking her off. This is now add another 4 months, so say what you want about Supreme Court, but they don't like to disturb the status quo. Here, they kept the status quo, and they believe the status quo is her in the job, not out of the job. Now, it also strengthens her hand. That's on the facts. Also legally, I think this indicates that there were not 5 votes, even among the 6 MAGA on the Supreme Court. There were not 5 votes, at least, to find that she doesn't have a due process right. It looks to me like they're leaning towards finding that she has a due process right. She has a Fifth Amendment right to have some sort of hearing, some sort of process before the remainder of her 13-year term is taken away from her. That's a big hurdle that I think looks like she has cleared. There also does not seem to have been 5 votes to take on the issue of whether the cause was right for Donald Trump. Donald Trump took out the argument that nothing, if I just declare that it's for cause and I point out something, that's enough. It can't be reviewed. It doesn't look like there's 5 votes on the Supreme Court to agree with Donald Trump on that either. This is how I would interpret that one line if I were advising, God forbid, Donald Trump. The one line, as you can see from the screen, just says effectively, let the clerk come up with some new briefing schedule. There's going to be some amicus briefs, meaning friends of the court. They get to file some briefs. There'll be some supplemental briefings to that. Let's all get together in January for an oral argument. Oral argument we will put on live here on Legal AF, the YouTube channel. So that's where we are. In terms of personnel, hasn't been a good week for Donald Trump. His hand-picked successor or person he wanted to run the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Irwin John Antoni, E.J. Antoni, had somebody reveal on CNN that he had some disgusting, misogynistic, racist posts in social media that were semi-anonymous. Once that got outed, even Donald Trump couldn't get him through to head the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And Donald Trump just had his Nevada counsel, his Nevada U.S. attorney, bounced and been found to have been invalidly appointed. The second such ruling, federal court ruling that we've had against somebody that Donald Trump's trying to shove down our throat as a U.S. attorney, Alina Habba being one. So this is a win for not just Lisa Cook on the Federal Reserve. This is a win for the rule of law as the federal judges continue to try to hold Donald Trump accountable, subject to the whims of the United States Supreme Court. We'll continue to follow it all right here. Hit the free subscribe button. Come over to Legal AF Substack, where I do all the live updates and updating on Legal AF Substack as well. And you can become a paid member, and that helps keep all the content on the air. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok.
I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touches Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.